Not muted, not muted. Hello, not muted, not muted. We're off to a good start. Hello, everyone. How are we? Before we start, do just let me know, are the music levels okay? Is the mic okay? And hello, everyone. No, I know, Mumbo King, you can hear me. So we'll start off by saying big thank you to Mark Central for resubscribing. 14-month streak, Mark. That is dedication considering the frequency of my streams. Thank you. And Clay Carey, thank you very much for a 4-month subscription. Nice to see some old friends in here. My learned friend, Super Tech Boy, Proton Beamed, Hasbeard, Played Games, Agent Orangina. Hello, everyone. Cats and dogs living together. Thank you for subscribing. Yes, toilets on the screen. So you've got me today, and you've also got a voice on the stream. If he will speak when prompted. Are you there?
I'm here from the beyond.
Hopefully you can hear that voice. Okay, who wants to guess what that voice is? Thank you, Gamma Dev. Any guesses? It's Dave. Yes, maybe on the toilet. I don't know. I can't see him. But Dave is here to just keep an eye on the chat today and moderate me, I guess. It's Clint's brother. That's right. It's the poorly ported Clint. So I was quite proud of that burn. Erasmus, thank you for the subscription. So we've got, well, how many are you seeing, Dave, live at the moment on the stream?
I can see we have 69.
69, okay. It's a slightly different stream to ones we've done in the past at the moment because usually I give you a topic and you all send in your videos and we have a look through them. And we will do that again, I promise. It's been such a long time since we did a stream, 6 months or so, that I thought I'll put the onus on myself to come up with some videos for you today. It's almost like a pre-recorded, narrated episode. If you like. So I've got videos to show you while talking over them and taking your questions. We've also got the Patreon Q&A. You've submitted lots of questions on Patreon, so thank you for that. And I also thought recently when we had a patron day at the cave, I found myself giving everyone that had come to the cave a big update on plans for the cave, further development of the cave, different areas of the mill to show them. And I thought, I've got to tell you guys because, you know, there's 30 people in the room here and I need the wider world, all the people that can't come to the cave to know about all this. So I'm going to cover some of that. If you were at the patron day, I may cover some of the same ground again, but there's a lot of you that weren't there. So we're going to go over that. We are going to talk about upcoming events, upcoming videos. And, I collected a just tremendous donation today, and I got the camera out and I've managed to upload the footage, so we're going to go through first impressions of a donation today as well, which I'll probably fast track to next week's video. We'll see what you think. So how is everyone? Dakey Boy, Dr. Local, you put lots of questions into the Patreon Q&A.
This
James,
week in
hello.
Retro Stalwart.
Yes. Chrissy Baps, hello. Kosam says toilets. Yes, hello. What happened to Thursday's YouTube video? Well, busy. Partly because I was doing a live stream, I didn't rush it out. Partly because the video that went out the week before has been so successful, I thought I'd give it a couple more days because I didn't want to kill the momentum. I just wanted to eke a couple more views out of it, and then I'll drop the next video. So you will get that soon. Patrons have seen the next video because that's been out on early access. Okay. I haven't heard the Aznavour jingle yet because I wasn't on this week in Retro Stock, so I need to listen to it. I've heard it, but I don't know if they've cut it down or if you got the jingle in its entirety. Dave, did you play the whole thing?
Yes, we did. The entire thing in all of its glory.
It was an absolute monster. So, hello, all 123 of you. I think there's some kind of hype train thing going on here. Good Lord, Mark. Mark with the 10 community subs. Thank you, Mark. Very kind. Say thank you to Mark, especially if you got a sub from him there. That's really nice of you, Mark. So, I don't know how much I've told you guys and how much I haven't. So I'm going to go all the way back to what is the Retro Collective, because that's a phrase that I've started throwing around a lot lately. And the Retro Collective is... Oh, Hasbeard Plays Games, thank you so much. Gosh, anyone would think I haven't streamed for a while. What is the Retro Collective? Let me bring this up here. No, where's my Chrome browser? Bear with me. Whose face was that just went up my screen? Do you know, Dave? There was an emoji that just went up the screen. There's someone's face.
I don't know who it is.
Okay, where is my browser? There's my browser. Oh, okay. It was because it was minimized. You couldn't see it. Streaming well here. Retro Collective. So for those of you who don't know, I am The Cave. We are in a mill. And a while back, we invited other companies to come and join us. That's how the Arcade Archive came about. So if you don't know Arcade Archive, that's Alex. And now has an arcade museum in the mill. I'm sure most of you know about this already. So we decided that because people were booking to come and visit the cave on the old website that we had, they booked to come and see the cave. And I would say this way, and they would say, well, no, it was the arcade we wanted to come to. And there was some confusion as to what people were booking for, the cave, the arcade. And these are separate museums with their own separate rent, separate bills, separate overheads. So we do have to sell tickets individually for each. Although we do open that up on Patreon days. So we created this thing called The Collective. So that's all now at retrocollective.co.uk, and Gary has been amazing. He's booked, he's made not only the website, but he's made a new booking system from the ground up, and it's just brilliant in the front and the back end, so that we can do everything that we need. The beauty of having a custom system, so you can just go in, you can see what events are coming up, you can put things in your basket. If you, it tells you here, five tickets left for the 11th of March. That's next weekend. That's doing well. And if you were to say put a ticket in for the cave, and then you were to put a ticket in for, hang on, what date was that? The 11th of March. The arcade on the same day. View your cart. There you go. You get like 10% discounts and things like that if you book 2 of them. And those of you who saw the Patreon update today will see that if you're on a particular tiers, you're now going to get discount codes and free visits. And has anyone got their email yet? Some of you will have got your email already, and others not quite, because the email server that we're using will tell us off for spamming you all if we email too quickly. So we're just dripping those emails out, yeah? Dakey Boy's got his, McTruesers, Orin, Nemo hasn't got his yet. Okay, great. So it's nice to see they're going out there. So as soon as I know that all those emails have gone out, we'll put the next Patreon day out, which is on the 2nd of April. And Mark Fix's stuff is coming to that one. Yay, he hasn't been to one before. So you'll all get to hang out with Mark Fix's stuff, and you can use your vouchers or your free visits to come and enjoy that. Excuse me. So that's what the Retro Collective is. And there is a new edition coming to the Retro Collective, which I'll tell you about today. Have you considered partnering with a local hotel? Says Super Tech Boy. Okay. That's not a bad idea. I will put it on Simon's list. See if he can drum up some business, and might be able to get you guys some discounts at hotels.
May even be a arranged transport in the morning from that particular hotel.
Transport would be useful because the cave is a little bit out of the way. Okay, so that's the Retro Collective. And what I thought I'd do as well, because some of you, you watch my videos, but it's hard to get in your head how the cave is laid out. So let's get rid of that. And click on that. We'll have a little walk around. So here we are at the entrance to the cave. This is tidy, but it's not ready for a public day. So there are a few things like a dead plant and a bin there on the right-hand side, which you wouldn't normally see. And there's a bit more RGB lighting normally on. But that is where you come into the cave. Do just ask me to stop if you've got any questions about what you see. And I've got a few things to tell you as we walk around. Where's the bogs? The bogs? Dave, why don't you just ask me in voice chat? Why are you typing in chat?
I thought it was the best way to troll you there.
So this is the tabletop area where Simon, for those who don't know, Simon is our first part-time employee to help out with the running of the museum. So you can see here he's done an awful lot of work on signage. Hype train, thank you for the hype train.
Choo choo.
Choo choo. You can see.
That's just for Pillock.
That's just for Pillock. Lots of signage there explaining what these games are. So that's a nice little touch. And then when we're open, you'll see that I'm wearing a coat throughout this, or you won't see my coat because urban camouflage. So you've got to be trained to see it. But the boiler hasn't worked all winter in the cave, so that's why. We do have heat from the aircon unit. And then we go into the hands-on area, which is over here. No, really minty. We've added all the labels to them recently, so that's a new thing. Chrissy, tell me if you see an SD card. The aircon's doing great. When it's like minus 7 to 10 degrees, it takes quite a while to defrost because it's up on the roof. But otherwise, once it warms up, it's fine. That's in heating mode, obviously. Yeah, new compact PC since you've last been. Hasbeard Plays Games. Hello, Mrs. Pillock. That's a DX4100, that compact, with a serial link to the Packard Bell to the left of it, so you can play Doom head-to-head. So, the first thing that I was telling patrons about on Sunday, which is new, is that door in front of us there with the R on it. What do you think's in the door, Dave?
Monsters.
Well, at the moment it's storage, and I'm not going to open the door because the storage is a mess, but we will go in the other storeroom later, which is also a mess. There's a chap called Jason, who was a developer in the 80s on the Commodore 64, and behind that door, this is going to be built in the next... I would like to have it done in the next 6 months. He's still got his old 80s dev kit, so he's got a PDS system. Some of you may have heard of PDS. It's very rare, quite difficult to get hold of these days, but it was a expensive development system that would then plug directly into your C64. He's also got adapters for the Spectrum and the Amstrad. And we're going to recreate his 80s development studio in there. So obviously we'll make videos using that space. But also when you visit, you'll be able to go and talk to a real developer, see what he's developing, and he will actively be developing new games as a hobby using original kit. So the working title for that space is the Dev Den. If you can come up with a better name, we could give it a different name. But yeah, the Dev Den. He's also got a collection of MIDI, well, just synths. They've got MIDI, but they're just synths. So he's going to have a music creation corner.
I don't want to interrupt you too much, Neil, but there's a special shout out that you need to give to someone that's just appeared in chat.
Go on.
Poor old Barry.
Oh, Barry. Hello, Barry. Good to see you here. Let me tell you, I feel like I need to put sad music on for Barry's story. Let me tell you Barry's story. Barry came to the patron day on Sunday, and he had a lovely day. He made it up the stairs to the cave. Turn the sad music down. He made it up to the cave. He made it to the dinner afterwards. He made it downstairs from the dinner afterwards. He made it back to his hotel, but he did not make it up the steps into his hotel. Barry broke his ankle in 3 places and is in hospital, unable to get back to his home in Holland, awaiting, would you call it reconstructive surgery, Barry? Yeah. I got home and there was a message from Barry to say what had happened. It was like, no, we've had such a nice day, and he seemed to have such a nice day, and everything was going so well. And then I think he had to wait some time for an ambulance to come and pick him up as well.
Poor Barry. Such a nice guy as well.
I know. He made it to the hotel, and then
bang, and the dirt is gone.
Bang. Sorry, Barry. I don't know if you can hear that, Dave.
I can only hear you, Neil, because otherwise I get an echo from the. I listen to the stream. I only get you, so I don't know if you're doing your sound effects or not.
I pressed the Barry Scott button.
Oh no!
I feel bad.
No. Disgusting.
So, get well soon, Barry. And that was evil, says White Dragon. And I hope the surgery goes well. I think he said on the 9th. I have a feeling he said on the 9th the surgery was due.
Rings a bell.
Yeah. So, hopefully Barry will be able to come and see the dev den there in front of us when that's up and running. Let's carry on walking around.
You need to carry him up.
Custado says no stream. I think the stream's going okay, Custado. So obviously we'll need to clad the back of that wall and make it all nice. Is he going to open it? No.
I've been in there. It is a mess.
It really is. Where are we going next then?
The bogs.
I don't take you to the toilets today. I'm sorry. There's a donation there from Chris G. I don't know if he's in the chat today. When he came on Sunday, he donated a 14-inch television, always useful, and this Ferrari, knowing my love of Outrun. I think this is we need Chris here from This Week in Retro, don't we? I think this is an F40, some kind of convertible F40. Hello, Gary. Oh, F50. Thank you, Mumbo King. So, of course, I attached my GoPro to it. A metal one, yes. Look at that. Brum, brum, brum. Are the mirrors correct? Yes, mirrors are correct on both sides. He also donated a DEC digital branded laptop, which looks really nice. This is a big old pile of Laserdiscs. Some of them belonged to Orin, who I saw in chat, who donated them some time ago and did give me his kind blessing to do what I'm about to tell you. Some of them came from another chap as well, a long time ago. And they were sat on the shelf, and I could kind of set up a display and have some kind of Laserdisc movie night or something like that, but I thought it would be better to actually move these onto a real collector of Laserdiscs and use the funds to develop something I'm going to show you in a minute. So I put these up for sale. The first seller tried to eat...
Gazunder.
What would you call it, Dave?
Gazunder.
Gazunder. The first seller tried to gazunder me. I don't know if that's a Scottish term. I know gazump, but... So
gazump is a house buying term where someone at the last minute outbids you. Gazunder is where someone at the last minute says, I know I said I'd give you 150,000, but I'm only now going to give you 145,000. And
Right.
they rely on you being committed to it and say, well, okay then.
Yeah. So we agreed a price, and then he put the time pressure on me and said, I'm going to come tomorrow, actually. I'm going to come tomorrow instead of next week. And I'm only going to give you... Well, he didn't say I'm only going to give you. He said a price, ? And I said, no, that's not the price we agreed. And he said, oh, well, actually, thinking about it, it's a bit expensive. So he just tried to put the pressure on me, tried to knock the price down, and I just said, no, forget it. And then, luckily, within a couple of days, someone else came forward and scooped them all up again. So forget that guy. We got a nice guy who immediately put a deposit down, so he's not going anywhere. That's brilliant. Apparently, everyone was asking me about The Matrix because DVDs were around by the time The Matrix was out, and apparently this is incredibly collectible, so everyone wanted that. Other ones include Akira or Akira. Akira or Akira, Dave, you always correct me on my pronunciations.
Akira is definitely the wrong pronunciation.
Akira. I said it right first time this time. So Akira, Beetlejuice there, some Star Wars discs. So yeah, that's going to go to a good home, to a good collector, and it's going to help fund something which I will show you in a minute. Well, quite a few things, including the Dev Den. There's the disc everyone wants. RoboCop 3, which the back says the best RoboCop ever. Dave?
I'd buy that for maybe $1.
Hello, Bazza McBazface. Hello, Mark Fixes Stuff. Yeah, they made a third one, and they made a video game of RoboCop 3. I don't know if the video game plot had any corroboration with the movie. Don't know. That's the library area, for those who are not familiar with the layout of the cave. Through there is the recreated shop, and I can't open the door because all the laser discs are against the door, but there you go. It looks like a tanning salon in there at the moment. Gently retro brighting games. And then we come around to the N64, GameCube, PlayStation and Saturn on the left. And then that's the studio end of the cave. A lot of people when they come and visit say the ceiling, although it's a high ceiling, it feels a bit lower because of the beams. And I get mixed reactions. Yeah, that is Big Chair. I get mixed reactions between it's bigger than I thought it was and it's smaller than I thought it was. Mark...
I thought it was both.
Mark Fixes Stuff would have to have appeared when I said that.
I felt it was not as tall in height in terms of height as I thought it would be, but it was wider than I thought it would be.
Right. Really Minty says, my A570 on display. That was you, was it, that donated it, Really Minty? Thank you. Right there with a CDTV. It's a TARDIS, says Audrey. So the wall there, the clad wall. This is the next thing which is going to appear. Is more hands-on desks, which are going to go the full length of that wall, just like the other wooden desks. So we're going to get a whole row of, I don't know, maybe Apple Macs,
No.
maybe consoles. No, Dave says no. Maybe
Yeah.
Ataris.
Consoles, not Apple Macs. Ataris would be ideal. What you could do is you could have a MIDI maze setup.
Oh, yeah. The Global Baker. Sorry, I didn't answer you first time. I did see you ask before. Yes. Thanks to Pillock, we have a Packard Bell monitor, and he's driven it down. So, thank you for asking, but I do have one. Actually, you'll see it in this video in a bit. So we're going to have another hands-on desk there. Sorry, Dave, what was that?
He's a nice man, Pillock is, and
Oh,
he's
he's a
also
lovely
listening. With his lovely wife.
Yeah. I should be able to give him some Scotch eggs. Have I got any? I haven't got a Scotch egg emote. Oh, I've got a Pillock face. There we go. Pillock faces. So, desks there for lots more hands-on. And then around here, right, so I asked a big question to the patron lot on Sunday who came to visit. I said, it might be time to move on from the apple crates. It might be time to do something else with this end of the set. The Global Baker, thank you very much. Wow, 20 community gift subs. And an A570. Thank you, the Global Baker. That is just incredible. Thank you so much. Wow. Please do thank the Global Baker, especially if you got a gifted sub out of that. Very kind indeed. So, my question to you. Will it upset you, losing the apple crates? Maybe I need to tell you what I'm planning on doing with them instead. So the apple crates will be still dotted around the cave and used as furniture. But I want to create something which I'm currently, the working title is the System Library. Protect says it will upset me. And what that means is I'm going to create 2 bits L-shape racking on the left and the right hand side there, which will go against the side walls and then across the back wall. Where the plan desks are, the desk at the front of this video here will move into there, so you'll have a desk. Volunteer will be there, so when you come on a public day, you can say, I've always wanted to play on a Sam Coupe. And on those really nice looking rack, it won't be metal racking, it will be racking that's in keeping with the rest of the cave. We'll have that system ready. Well, maybe we'll have apple crates on the racking with the system in. Take it out, set it up. I said nobody ever, says cats and cats and dogs living together. Okay, I've always wanted to play on a Sega Saturn. Okay, We take it out the shelf, we set it up, and it's there. So you can play on more than just what's on the hands-on area. Plus, the advantage of that is it will pull an awful lot of systems out of the storeroom where nobody can see them, and it's just filling up the storeroom. So it's kind of a, two birds with one stone. Or getting two birds stoned, as they say in Canada on trailer parks. How is my Alba TV comedy activist? I'm sure your Alba TV is fine, thank you.
That's not the one that blew up, is it?
No, the Alba didn't. I don't think. We've had a few explosions. That's the LG TV on the desk there. That's not an Alba TV. What if people have crate expectations?
I like that one. That's well done.
So, so I was in there a few days ago, just measuring up. There you go. Oh, we can throw some tape measures about. Hang on. Tape measures in the emojis. There we go. So measuring up, and I've got the quotes in. I need to do a bit of haggling to get the prices down, but I've got the prices for the racking. There's actually an awful lot more space to the cave behind those crates because they're at this angle. It's not really a good use of space, so we'll gain some ground. With the system library, I've got lots of systems. Behave, Danky or Dakey. I've got lots of systems in storage to come out. I've got more that need to be refurbished, and then we can put them out. And then, thank you, Gary. 20 left. And then something amazing happened today, and hopefully the video will come on to that. We got some more systems to potentially go in the system library. Here we go, going for a little drive. We're going on a live retro road trip.
Beep, beep.
I don't think I've got any beep beep sounds.
Use the horn. Use the horn.
I've got Ghostbusters, and we'll do a short air horn. So we are driving. I didn't have to go far. This was in Swindon, so about 20 minutes from me. There is the back of my car. Now, the boot of the car, it's a Skoda Superb. It has a lot of space in the back, so I didn't think I'd have problems with this.
Is that a body?
That is a body. That's Mark Fix's stuff in the back there. And then I met a lovely chap called Robin who wanted to donate his systems. He was making room in his house. And I should appear in a moment and start to put some things in. I am there. You probably can't see me again in my urban camo. So the MSX, a boxed Sinclair QL going in there. Boxed Auric Atmos going in there. Atari disk drive 1050.
What 1050?
Atari 800. An Archimedes A3010 all boxed, yeah. Amiga 500 Cartoon Classics.
Oh, ruined it.
That was the Archimedes action pack that just went in there. You don't see these often. A boxed Memotech MTX 512. I mean,
certainly don't.
That's amazing. There's a Spectrum Plus 3 there. There is a Dragon 32 going in there. And an Enterprise 128. I know there's a lot of wows in chat. That was my reaction today. Just wow. A TI 99 there going in. That was a box of Spectrums. There was another MTX in there. So I went from a nice empty car to driving home like this.
A lot of stuff.
It is. That is a full estate car. I don't know if there's anything after this. No, just driving, just making my way home. Doesn't look safe. I did drive very slowly, like everyone's going past me. So there's a lot more to it than that that you didn't see. There are things like a Tatung Einstein in there, all sorts of stuff.
How do you say Tatung Einstein?
Tatung, like Netflix.
That's right. That's right.
Mark taught me that. So the question is, do you want me to drop everything and film that for you on Monday. I can go in and I can do a donations video in the cave and just lay it all out in the cave and show you and maybe test a few systems. There's even an Amiga 4000 in there. Apparently working. So if you want me to do that, yeah, donations video, because I haven't done a donations video for a while, so I can do that for you. Okay. It is decided. An Amiga 4000 Nemo with a nice add-on. That would be superb, says James. I see what you did there. So systems like that will go in the system library in this area. And then what I'm determined to make that do is get me out of the mindset of this is my set, this is where I film, and the whole cave, all of it is my set, and I should be using all of it for the videos, not just this. And I think that will add a bit more variety for you when you're watching the videos, and the systems will be very easy for me to get out. So if I mention something or a game on a system, we can quickly set it up and we can film it for the videos. So it just makes everything easier to work with. Hello, the nerd. Not a video toaster, sadly, Gamma Dev. Yeah, Comedy Activist. I was just saying we're putting more desks on the left for more of a play area. And do you mean the play area in the system library? Because as I see it, there would be space for 2 systems there. But we could make space for more if you think. Yeah. We can still throw the RGB lights up behind the new racks, so it will still look kind of familiar. Stephen. PlayChoice cab. We've also got the PlayChoice 10 cab on the right. Some of you have seen the video to that. I have secured the Megatech, and it looks like Alex is going to pick it up for me because it needs a van. In about 2 weeks. So we'll have a video on that. Yes, video Costado. Slowly walking around and jumping out of houseplants.
Increase the footfall. Poor Barry.
Oh, who said that?
Comedy activist.
Oh, comedy activist. It is scary, White Dragon. I mean, we're in our 6th year here. It's 6 years to get to this point. Absolutely crazy. I just wanted to walk around like this because I know a lot of you haven't seen the whole cave in its entirety like this. If you haven't been to visit, it's hard to visualize how it's put together. Oh, sorry if you're getting motion sickness.
The big chair with that PVM. The PVM looks... It doesn't look as big in the video as it really is. It's great to sit down on that and play the Mister.
It is. Right, we've got a bit of a fisheye lens on, which might make it look smaller. I don't know. Okay. Brace yourselves. I'm going to take you behind the scenes now into a very messy storage area because it's the next space we're going to develop. Ooh, yes, Chris. Ooh. Okay, here we go. Yes. Behold. So, at the very back, we have the racking, where stuff is on the racking. On the floor, we have stuff on the floor waiting to go in the racking. But all will be explained.
Paintings.
Paintings. Okay, on the right, that's the desk where I work, and sometimes Lily does some work. Hence, random paintings. Yes, stuff and things. A 32-inch Bang & Olufsen CRT there, just begging to be put out and put to use. There's one of those Voyager space helmet TVs there. The box from my Amiga keyboard, which, let me hold this up. There it is. It is still my daily driver, my mechanical Amiga keyboard.
That was a hot topic when you did that video.
Oh, it was. Yeah, a lot of engagement.
a euphemism.
So, why am I showing you this? Well, hopefully I'll get to the end of the room and turn around. Okay, so that beam there, we are going to build another partition wall all the way along there with a door through to the storeroom so I can get in and do my ironing. And this area here, this will become our lab. So we will have a permanently set up lab in that corner there. And we used to have a lab in the last cave, and I miss it so much, and it just slows me down so much not having a lab. So we're going to get that all kitted out. Nice lab area for filming, as well as an area people can come in, the public can come in, but primarily it will be for the filming. And on the left-hand side here, that's the other side of that partition wall where I said we're putting a new bench. We're putting another bench on this side, which potentially, if you want, we could have PCs and we could have a LAN party with the cable going through the walls. And, have 6 or 8 machines.
You could then have teams, perhaps, and you wouldn't be able to cheat quite so easily.
I think we could have teams, and I think we could have like an old rotary dial telephone on each side, so you can phone each other up to shout abuse at each other while playing. Hang on, I'm just dialing. So I have more hands-on. So again, more hands-on space, more systems out for people to use. You'll notice at the top there some water damage to the roof. The reason this is a bit of a mess, and I've taken a long time to develop it, is because the roof was leaking, and the landlord has been great and repaired the roof, but it wasn't cheap, so they couldn't rush into it, and it wasn't quick to do. They replaced the whole flat roof up there down the middle of the roof. So that is now all safe, and we can touch that up and clean it and make it good, and safely put stuff underneath it. There you go. Ugh, nasty. The return of the green soldering pad. Yes, I think it was blue, the soldering pad. Yes, Richard is the landlord. Yeah, Heber. There you go. You can see where some of the leaking was coming through. Heber, Dave. So we're going to get the dev den, and we're also going to get this. So we are expanding into all of these areas. Could be blood. Yeah, could be. Could be the whatever the heron has eaten that sits up on the roof.
Janet's victims.
It could be Janet's victims.
SD cards.
So there we go. We'll probably have to put new carpet down there as well. Nothing wrong with that plant. Look. Nothing wrong with that. There's a green leaf there. Just needs a bit of TLC. Look, that's good. It's alive.
I'm surprised Lily hasn't killed you for that.
Well, when I bought them, I said, will you help me to look after them, because she's a keen gardener, and she's, yeah, no problem. So I'm not blaming anyone but Lily. Hi Lily, if you're watching. It hasn't helped that the boiler's been off and it's got very cold, but that's all sorted now. The radiators are back on. So that's the cave, but there are more spaces that I want to show you around the mill now. Potentially more room for development. So let's go out here. Sorry, comedy activist. Yeah. That's you, Chris, is it? I wasn't aware that was your nickname on Twitch. Good to see you. Hello, Chris. So this room was the 3D print room. And as you can see, we've been taking the 3D printers off the racks. Not the toilets, Custado. And the 3D printers are going to go down to another room. Lots of space in here, so they're all ready to go down. There's a lot of the multi-system cases there where we've been experimenting in different colours. So what we're going to do with this room, well, hasn't been finalised, but the idea that's been discussed is partly kind of a showroom for things like the multi-system, so that when you come to the cave, you can come just across the corridor and you can see, all the cases and things like that. But also like a media suite we're talking about now. So I'll have my video editing PC there. Alex will have his. Richard will have his. And we can collaborate a lot more in our video making. Believe it or not, Alex at the Arcade Archive films everything on the latest iPhone. Great, the videos look superb. And edits everything on his iPhone as well. I'm here with like 3 24-inch monitors. Everything laid out, doing all my editing here. He does it all on his phone. I don't know how he does it because he gets great results, but no idea how he does it. So I'm going to train him up on either Premiere, which I use, or DaVinci Resolve, which Richard uses, whichever he wants to use, so that he can use that for his editing. And just share ideas and pop into each other's, spaces. If I'm talking about HomePort that's in the arcade, I can say, Alex, let's. I knew you would pop up, Mark, and say not Premiere. I can say, Alex, let's pop in the arcade and get some footage of a game. And then, if you want to film in the cave for something, come in the cave. So we can just improve our content, make our videos better by using all this space. Because we've got something incredible here that a lot of other channels don't have. And I'm determined to use it more and collaborate more. So that's a way to do it if we're all sitting working together when we're editing. There's a Packard Bell monitor. Told you I'd got another one. As you can see, it has, I think you can make out a very yellowed power button, but other than that, the front is fine.
Is that Australian?
It's Australian, Dave, yeah. Here's the original one. It does actually work incredibly. We've got it plugged into the multi-system there, and it works. The case was smashed to bits, but the monitor works, so that's good. So yeah, you'll see that Packard Bell monitor again soon, and that will become possibly, not committed to, but possibly a media suite.
Don't tell Richard to print a monitor case. He'll spend 3 weeks doing it.
So these are mine here that need to be looked at some point. IBM PS2s. And we'll go down the stairs to something very exciting. Not the toilets. Calm yourselves.
I'm bursting.
There he is, the man himself. There's Richard. And there's another space here. Now, what is this space? Which floor is this? Menswear. There's a Midway sticker on the filing cabinet, which tells you something of Heber's history. So this space is going to be a repair space. Richard has been clearing it out. The 3D printers are going to go in here as well. Here it is a bit later in the day when he's been sorting it out further. It's going to be a repair space. So this is not my business. This is something Heber is setting up. I'm happy to support, of course. A retro repair business. And it's going to go in here. So you'll be able to send your stuff in or visit and bring your stuff with you and book in a repair. And it will be done by, the trained electronics professionals, the top guys who have got all the gear to work on it. And, a huge amount of history in working on this technology going back decades. So retro equipment couldn't be in safer hands than this team. So there's the space that's being developed. I think they're going to start off slow, just put the feelers out and just see what's the demand like, what kind of things want fixing. Do we want to commit to fixing monitors as well? Because we know there's a huge demand for monitor repairs, TV repairs. Awful lot of people ask for that. So they're feeling it out and they're exploring it, but this is it. They're making the space to do it, and all the software to book things in, raise tickets, keep you updated on how things are going. Richard's positioned the desk. We might take that top shelf off in such a way that we can position a camera behind it or above it, and we can get lots of nice close-ups of the repair work. It's not called Retro Fast Forward, although I know you're joking, Mo Beast. We did have a nice video call with Frank over at Retro Rewind. Unless that's you under a different name. And he was an incredibly nice guy who gave us a lot of insights into the repair business. So, great guy. At that end, there's a drill there. There's going to be lots of other things for mechanical repairs. And of course, 3D printing could be part of that repair service where needed, where new parts are needed. We need a name, by the way. If anyone wants to suggest any names for a repair service. My favourite so far is Micromend. Micromend.
Yeah.
What are some other good ones? Retro Rewind. Yeah, we'll just call it Retro Rewind. Now this space here is the room directly above the arcade. Someone's put glasses on Mark. So if the arcade were ever to expand, need more space, it can just come knock a hole in the floor and run some steps straight up here. Just a random double dragon machine there, a fruit machine that is part of Heber's history. AstroTurfed floor.
What's wrong with hot glue? Nothing wrong with hot glue.
Nothing wrong with hot glue. And just more random equipment waiting to go back in the lab. Magnifiers. I think there's an extraction unit there and filtration system. More magnifying.
Looks like someone's murdered a Star Wars robot.
Maybe more Doctor Who. Look, there's a Doctor Who robot on the right there. Yeah, so there's space there for the arcade to expand into if it continues to be successful, and it is being incredibly successful. And then just one more space on the same floor. Another little rework area here. So more space to fix things in. Not the toilets, Costado. Mandatory Hello Kitty AM. It must have AM FM radio with CD player.
He's retro-brighted.
It does. Someone said that in the chat as well. Let's go through Richard's drawers.
Mostly crimps.
Mostly crimps, yeah. Some sockets there. So there you go. Things I get to see every day, but you guys don't get to see behind the scenes here.
Do you ever raid his stores when you're doing a repair yourself?
No. No, out of bounds.
There was a question earlier on that you didn't answer.
Oh, go on.
Someone asked if anything has gone walkies yet.
No, not that I know of. Apart from my memory cards.
Yeah.
No. So here's Richard. On Friday he was in here and he's working on here the CineStar audio board from the arcade game CineStar. So as I understand it, on the right is a regular Williams audio board and on the left is an add-on board which has the speech ROMs on there because CineStar has speech. And the speech isn't working and some other sounds are a bit crunchy. So I was just sat with him watching and learning his approach to diagnosing and trying to fix it. Starting with the basics. So he gave all of those ROM chips a good clean on the legs to make sure any corrosion was off. Surprising how many things are fixed just by cleaning them down in the arcade.
Contact cleaner is so good. People don't realise how good contact cleaner is.
Well, he's not even used contact cleaner there. He's just using a little rubber on the legs. And then just a continuity check on to see if the ribbons perished between the two boards, because he says that's a very common problem. Just perished ribbons or ribbons that have been yanked out and you can't quite see that they've torn on the ends.
When you say a rubber, it just means you mean a pencil eraser, because that does work on
boards and a little bit harder than a normal eraser, but yeah, I think that's what it was. Now, on this occasion, we didn't actually fix the problem, but we did figure out what the problem was, and that is, he said, a couple of op amps One is kind of half working and one is fully broken. So he socketed them, and we just got to order those parts, which are readily available, and then we should have all of the speech back. But, you know, we have to spend lots of time playing on the games to diagnose these things. Amazing Pillock, thank you for the subscription 43 minutes ago. Sorry, I only just saw that. Here are some things that you'll see in an upcoming video of Alex's, as well as, if you saw his latest video, 50 arcade PCBs he picked up. He picked up some old test equipment. I think this is from the 70s and 80s. They are EEPROM writers. You can also write GALs with them. They're not identical. I don't know what the difference is, but they're slightly different units. And now, according to Richard, it just makes it easier to work on these old arcades and to reprogram chips. If you're using equipment from the period, rather than trying to use things like USB to serial adapters with old kit and things like that, if you just have a Pentium with Windows 95 on it, let me just pause that. And some of the original kit, it just works, apparently. So that's something to play with. I've come to my camera here because quite a few people, including Matthew Hutchinson, I don't know if you're watching, he asked the question on Patreon. No, he asked the question later. Who asked me a question? Lots of people ask me questions about my kit, so I'm just going to show you my kit. We'll come on to Matthew's question. Main camera is a Panasonic Lumix GH5. There it is. You can see I've recently put a small rig cage around it. So that's the like scaffold-like structure that's around it. And then onto that, a couple of handles, which helps for some of the more sort of dynamic filming when I'm walking about. A little light on the top. What's that? A 12 to 60 lens on the front with a polarizing filter. And that's an audio mixer underneath. That's not part of the camera. I've had that for quite some time. Works really well. Around the front, you've got XLR inputs as well as 3.5mm inputs. So I can plug that directly into my mixing desk. So if I've got someone like Hoffman DJing, I can just get the feed straight from the mixing desk into the camera, and it's all synced up with the footage. I don't need to try and sync things later. Just use an iPhone. Alex does, and I'm jealous.
And then you pop down to Boots to get the camera developed.
Yeah. And then on the side there is just a Rode wireless mic receiver. So I also have a one of those in my pocket normally. Is that a Rode mic receiver in your pocket? Yes, it is. And a lapel mic. So I can mount two of those on the camera if I've got two of us speaking, and they obviously go into the mixer. The SD card goes in the left-hand side, Agent Orangina. The tripod's seen better days. It's what's called a fluid head tripod, which gives a really nice motion when you're panning. But as you can see, it shouldn't move like that. And I've tightened it and I've re-greased it, and it's just old and knackered. So
I know a place that does retro repairs. Maybe they could look at it.
I don't know about that. So time for a new tripod. There you go. That's what I do most of my filming with, except for now when I'm filming with a GoPro Hero 8. Yeah, mobile phones, iPhones are superb for filming with. No problem with people filming with iPhones. The autofocus on that Panasonic is awful. So I'm jealous of iPhones. There's a couple of lights up there, and then I have the same kind of light panels on stands as well. There you go. Mark Centrals has said exactly the same. Its autofocus is awful. Everything is manual focus for me. You can't rely on the autofocus. Chris, I rarely use a video prompter. We got Alex here to answer a question from Matthew Hutchinson. Let me just check the audio's going to work. I have stopped the music. Bear with. Make sure I've got Alex on monitoring. Tell us a joke, Dave, while I'm sorting this out. Go on.
The better.
Sorry, Dave, I had you muted there.
Neil,
I wasn't on mute.
Twice in 2 weeks.
I wasn't on mute this time. You were on mute. Say it again.
Someone had a question earlier on if we were accepting new jingles for This Week in Retro, and yes, we are accepting new jingles for This Week in Retro. Get them in. We love it. Absolutely love it when someone does one.
Someone said worst joke ever.
Did you hear about the world champion Scarecrow?
Was he outstanding in his field?
Yes.
Okay, let's see what Alex has to say.
Best places are either UK VAC.
Oh, I should tell you the question. So Matthew Hutchinson said, any ideas on where to source a full-size arcade cabinet in the UK, with or without a CRT? Basically, any Jammer cab compatible, or any Jammer compatible cab. Either I'm looking in the wrong places, web search, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, or they really are like gold dust. Sorry, I've turned the echo off now. Dave, you are now muted. So we will go to see what Alex says about where to find arcades.
Best places are either UK VAC, because they change within collectors, so that's a good place, changing hands. Facebook Marketplace and eBay, really. You do get bargains come up on eBay occasionally. So,
what would I expect to pay for just a bog standard?
Untested, probably 250, 300, but working, probably about 450, 500 for a good one. I mean, there are lots of different types of Jammer cabs. Depends on which type you want. There's the electrical and Goliath, which go for a lot of money, or the little middies, which is what I like. Probably looking at around about 500.
What about those plastic Japanese ones that you love so much?
Oh, I don't love them at all because I don't remember them back in the day, and I don't think the acoustics are as good as a Woody. I know the sound resonates much better in a Woody.
Do you like a Woody?
I do like a Woody.
So childish. Oh yeah, he's got a little bit more to say.
The thing is keeping them working. Because they do break down a lot. So you either need to know someone that's good with repairing monitors and PCBs, or you need to learn yourself, which I'm not good at.
But we've got Richard.
But we have Richard, who's our main man, and he's an absolute whiz with fixing stuff. Yeah, and hopefully we will have a service here at the mill where you can bring your PCBs and your monitor chassis and we can fix them.
There you go. So, Matthew, hopefully that answers your question. And anyone else who was wondering about arcade machines. I know Matthew said he'd looked on eBay and hadn't had success. I got the Nintendo PlayChoice 10 off eBay, and that was a bargain. But the main place he said to look is UK VAC, which is the assuming you're in the UK, which is the UK arcade collectors. It's where they all get together. And they're a friendly bunch, as long as you're not there to sweep in and flip arcades for profit. They're very happy to trade arcade machines among one another, play it for 6 months, swap it for something else with someone else. So they're a good group. And the next question comes from you, Dave. You are now unmuted. Can you remember what your question was?
If you'd asked if I'd asked one, I would have said, no, I didn't ask a question. Did I ask a question?
Yeah.
Was it a trolling question? Did I troll you?
No, you would never do that to me.
Oh, that's correct.
So your question was, have you got 2 Commodore joysticks, the triangular handled ones, for £4 each?
Oh, yes, yeah, because I did. I think Chrissy did as well in Pillock. Did you get it? What happened there?
Would you like to tell the story?
I spotted real, genuine Commodore things on eBay are generally quite expensive, and I spotted this job lot of these joysticks you'll see there which are Commodore's take on the Atari classic joystick. And someone was selling them for about £6. So I stuck an offer in. I'll take 2 for £4 each. Accepted, £4 each. Told the rest of the admins at the RMC Discord. Everybody put an offer in for 2 of them for £4 each. Everyone got accepted. Neil was ignored, and he sold out.
I put my offer in, just ignored. Well, I think even Pillock's offer was accepted after I put my offer in. Maybe I was just ignored.
They're no good for play. See, if you want to play a Commodore 64 is great for arcade shooters, so they're no use for that. But if you just play a simple game where you want to use it to control things, it's fine.
So I've also got this C1342. I don't know what the model number is of the triangular handled one.
That looks fancy.
So that looks a bit fancier, doesn't it? But yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned the Atari 2600 because the triangular one, it's got like that rubber sheath over the handle, hasn't it? Exactly like an Atari 2600.
You can tell that's what they're aiming for, yeah.
And there it is, side by side.
Your one's bigger than mine.
That I've broken it there already. I've got to push it down to fix it. So, in answer to your question, Dave, no, I have 1. I don't have 2, and I didn't pay £4 for it. Next question comes from our friend Lee at the YouTube channel More Fun Making It. Go and smash his bell. When I grew up, there's no actual proof that this happened. With my ZX81 and my 16K Spectrum Plus RAM pack, my video gaming was always split between sporadic visits to distant seaside arcades and crude home conversions. For a long time, arcade machines were the pinnacle of video gaming, with superior hardware and controls, but there were occasional games that really did come close to making me feel like I had something approaching an arcade standard at home. The first game that made me feel this way was Arcadia by Imagine, a 16K shoot 'em up. Which home computer game scratched your arcade itch? Dave, as you're on the mic... Oh, is Lee there? Yeah. No, that's Mark Fix's stuff. Is Lee there under a different name? Don't know.
I haven't seen him.
Dave, before I go on, is there a home computer port that made you feel arcadey?
The first one I think that I saw that I thought was really, really just like the arcade was Gauntlet 2 on the Atari ST.
Oh, nice.
It came with the pack in for it. And it's not just like the arcade, but it's a really good conversion all the same.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to go for a pretty obvious choice, but it'll become clear why. Before I go on, yes, as well as Commodore joystick, I had picked up this recently, which is an official 3DO light gun for games like Who Shot Johnny Rock and Mad Dog McCree. It's not great on this PVM because I think the screen's just too small. It'd be much better on a larger screen, so I will get that set up on a bigger TV. And I've also got this weird thing above it, which is a full flight stick, CH flight stick for the 3DO. Exactly like the PC ones. And it plays great with things like Super Wing Commander and Wing Commander 3. Really nice to play with. So there you go.
How are those versions of the games?
Very much like the PC, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Pom Pom Party, which Pillock... I keep it out for when Pillock visits. Okay, my choice of arcade game, a little bit obvious. RoboCop, you'll see why in a moment. So this is it on my Mr. Arcade. Everyone loves RoboCop, right?
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Well, I thought... So I'm showing it because, look, we've got a proper dedicated RoboCop cab, which Alex picked up last week to put in the arcade. Really interesting. If you look at the marquee at the top, you will notice, if I might need to rewind. Let's rewind. If you look at the marquee at the top, you can just see at the top, it says Data East in the middle, to the left, Ocean. So Ocean actually had the license and licensed it to Data East. It wasn't the other way around.
No Ariston then?
Not Ariston, no. I was singing that to Alex the other day when I had it on the Spectrum.
It looks a little bit better on the arcade than I remember it on the ST.
It's nice and chunky.
More or less the same as the Amiga.
But I'm going to go through some of the versions in a moment.
Oh, good.
Oh, hello, Pillock. So here is the Atari ST version. So you remember how lovely and chunky it is on the arcade? Here it is on the ST, and it just feels like, why is it that piddly? We know the ST is more capable of larger sprites. It's got this great big border around the screen.
Yeah.
It's a horrible 16-bit game.
It's just a little bit too lethargic.
And then this is it on the Amiga 600. Just for comparison, so we're not giving any favoritism. It is exactly the same game. Exactly the same game.
That was par for the course back then.
Yeah.
A lot of games were either ported lazily from the ST or designed to run on both.
Now this is the one I played as a kid. This is the Amstrad CPC. I don't think it's using 128K. It's just a 64K version. It was playable. The Amiga and the Atari ST just feel like 8-bit games. This feels like a good 8-bit game, or a semi-decent 8-bit game, and that's fine. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'd moved on from the CPC, I think, when this came out, because I only remember seeing it on the Atari ST and everybody going mad because the infamous film RoboCop that's a video nasty we're not allowed to see.
Right, it's a bit hard to see the screen here. It's a bit bright, but this is the ZX Spectrum, and I think it probably does deserve the title of the best home port, I think, or at least the port of the game that gets the most out of the system that it's targeted at. I think that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah, the ST and Amiga games are just such a disappointment.
There's a 128K version for the Spectrum, which has lovely, satisfying gun sounds, and the music playing as well. So there you go. If you want to play home ports of RoboCop and arcade, an original arcade, which, it's got a great joystick on that arcade. It's much easier to play with a nice joystick.
But strange side art though.
Yeah. Lee, hopefully that answers your question. The next question. Okay, so that's pretty much all I videoed this week. We're just back to walking around the cave again, and I'm going to work through all of your patron questions now. We've got quite a lot of them. So it starts off with Paul Jacobson. Hello, Paul. Or Pajako, as you know him. Pajako6502 says, it's time to make RMC the video game. What system is first, and what kind of game is it? Well, funnily enough, somebody's already made the game. You pop it up on the screen. I don't know if I've shown you this, Dave.
I've seen a game for RMC. I think during the diaries someone made one.
Oh no, there's a more recent one. So, okay, not really RMC, but there is there's a game that somebody has made called Arcade Alex. I say somebody, this is by Nick Sherman, also known as Arlosoft. And the incredible thing about this is it runs on real Pac-Man hardware for the arcade. So we are actually going to make a dedicated cabinet for this. You can play it on MAME. Just rename the ROMs to Pac-Man. The aim of the game is you're Alex running around the screen, pushing arcades out the door. I'm the little dude on the right-hand side on the floor with the beard, waiting for the arcades to come down. And then in the final version, because this is an early preview, I've seen a later version where Fix-It Rich is on the roof with his screwdriver. So we're all in the game.
This is actually a real proper good game that would be fun to
game.
play rather than just a...
And we've been playing it and feeding back any bugs, and Nick's been fixing them. So we're going to make proper marquee artwork, side art. We're going to have a cabinet, and that can be our unique, maybe high score challenge or something when you come to visit the arcade. We'll do a video about it all when we build it. But how amazing is that? Our own game that runs on real Pac-Man hardware.
I'll see if I can twist Mame Hazy's arm into putting it into MAME.
Well, it is as Pac-Man. All you do is rename the ROM to Pac-Man.
but maybe officially, and then everyone that has a name will have to get the ROM for it.
There you go. That's Arcade Alex. I'm happy to share those ROMs if anyone wants to play it. Just let me know. I can maybe share it in Discord. By the way, if you want to come and chat in Discord, discord.gg/RMC Retro. Little plug there for the Discord crew. Next question comes from Mike Daly, the lemming himself. It is amazing, Custado. Mike says, now that there's an arcade downstairs, what's your stretch goal? Now you don't have to do one yourself. So I thought about this because originally the stretch goal was to have the secret arcade upstairs in the cave. And so I thought, well, I'll put a stretch goal in, but I wouldn't mind some suggestions from you guys as to other stretch goals. So the stretch goal I put in was if we get up to 1,800 patrons, we're currently 1,200. I'll go international. I'll go on international road trips. So I'll go to their foreign museums, go and see people like the Amigos, go to Holland, Bart at the Retro Museum over there in Holland keeps inviting me, and I'd love to go. So, and of course, Custado will be there. So that's my stretch goal. But if you've got any other ideas for stretch goals that you'd like to see me do, if I can increase the support, just let me know. I'm happy to put that in there as a goal. I'm not sure how many people actually look at the stretch goals when they come to support the channel, but it's nice to have things to aim for. An Airbnb so you can sleep in the cave, says Steve. Pinball Museum in Vegas. Yeah, why not? A lift for the cave for Barry. Oh, poor Barry. Okay, some more of your questions. I'll just leave myself walking around while I talk. Ben Rattigan says, can you upload your next video produced and edited on the Packard Bell?
That'd be difficult.
Yeah, that would be difficult, wouldn't it? I mean, I could probably put something like Adobe Premiere version 5 on there, and I could probably put a video together, but how long would it take?
Doug from 10-minute Amiga Retrocast. I remember him saying he was going to use his Amiga to do it. And I can't remember what the outcome was, whether he managed to do it and if it was decent.
Well, Anthony does it on the Amiga show.
Does he?
Yeah. But, he's not releasing videos every week. It's, more like once a quarter or so. So, yeah. I mean, I could do it. You're not going to get 4K out of it. All the videos ended there. You're not going to get a 4K video rendered out of a Packard Bell, I wouldn't have thought. So, Ben, I will politely pass. Chris and a couple of other people asked patron submissions. Not this month because I was putting the onus on me to do the patron Q&A and tell you about things happening in the cave. So if you've got any suggestions for a topic for 90-second videos for our next live stream, let me know.
Perhaps for people who aren't regular, you could explain what we normally do for that.
If you aren't regular, because I do stream every 6 months.
Eat more fibre.
We normally have a topic, and the patrons all submit a 90-second video on that topic, and we watch them together and we comment on them. And we've had things like, flight sims. We've had things like movie games. What else have we had, Dave? We've had tours. I think we've had tours of people's caves, which Chris suggested.
Did it all start during the lockdown diaries where you asked for people's memories of games starting with a certain letter?
That's right. Yeah, we had daily streams during the lockdown, and people would submit videos for the letter A, the letter B, etc. James has said we've had games you love to hate. We've had confessions. Or maybe these are... No, I think we've had confessions. I don't know that we've had games you love to hate. Maybe we have. Nonky Island, says Kosam.
That was great.
Things with my mouse.
Don't feel intimidated.
We did have that.
When it comes to it, don't feel you need to be someone who can produce videos already to do it. The 90-second format works well, even if you can't do that.
Yeah. So that will be happening. Pixels at Dawn. Hello, Ian says, if you could become Dr. Nielenstein and create a computer or console from the very best parts of many different retro systems, what would you take from each and why? Doesn't have to actually work in real life, and you're allowed to scream, "It's alive!" while lightning streaks across windows of the cave. That's a really tough question, because generally machines over the years have evolved to become better in all the ways, you know, pick and choose the best bits from different machines, and they've evolved in that way anyway. I would go with the case of a Sharp X68000 Expert.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a beige one with a handle at the top.
No, black one.
Black one?
What do you mean? Yeah.
I would probably make it an ARM-based machine. So what are we going to take the ARM from? A BBC? Because it was created on the BBC. Or are we going to say Archimedes? We'll take it from the Archimedes. I'll have a Sound Blaster or 64 in there with a SID chip on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was a noise, Dave. I think you liked that one.
What about a Pokey as well?
Oh, and a Pokey as well. We'll have a SID, a Pokey, and an AY all on the AW64. 3DFX card. Shove one of those in there. Front loading a slot CD-ROM drive, I think, which would just come from one of my earliest PCs. Trying to remember the brand. Might have been a Panasonic.
When you say a slot loader, do you mean the one you put in the carrier and put that in, or do you mean the actual the slot loader like what you would got in cars eventually?
Like you had in your car. Pioneer, thank you, Chris. Yeah, I had a Pioneer slot loading one like you had in your car, and you feed the CD in. We'll have 4 joypad ports from the N64 on there, I think. Just invites you to play with your friends. We'll stick, although it's got an ARM, we'll have a 68030, I think, as a secondary CPU, just to make emulation more fun.
How many bits does your ARM have?
I reckon 32 will be enough.
Got a 64-bit system then.
Do you want to go 64-bit?
Well, you have to add them up. That's how it works.
Let's go 128, like the Atari Jaguar.
That's it. Ideal.
And then I'm going to put the 4 joystick ports. I'm going to follow the lead of those Atari STs, and I'm going to put them on the underside of the case.
Best place for it.
Yeah. And then 4 Trevor tortoises are included as your controllers.
What game is good to play on Trevor? Is there any? Did you ever find a game that was suited for Trevor?
Yeah, I played Daley Thompson on him, and that was not good. Any game that requires minimal input. that's
Ice
what
cream
Trevor's.
shop.
A screensaver. So there you go, Pixels. That's my perfect system. Bastet Fury says, I'm just going to leave the video playing again. What is your favourite RPG? And what's your least favourite? Well, I think everyone that knows me can guess my favourite, Dave.
Ultima 7.
Ultima 7. Can you guess my least favourite?
Is it Elvira because of your recent experience with it?
Oh, is that an RPG or is that more of a dungeon crawler?
Well, dungeon crawlers are RPGs, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would actually choose Ultima 8 because of the huge disappointment and contrast. Namco's guessed it. In comparison to Ultima 7, it was just such a letdown, unfinished, pixel perfect jumps. You know, it was like Ultima had become Manic Miner at times. So,
and it was slow as well.
Slow, unfinished. Didn't have half the feelies in the box of the old ones. Chris, I gave up on Elvira. I was that appalled with it.
But you thought it was good, and you went to play it on stream, and you had yourself built up to. I never had a chance to play this fully. This is going to be fantastic. Here we go, and you were crushed.
It was good until the grind section where you had to collect all the regents. That was horrible. Next question was from Bastet Fury as well. Ever programmed a game and do you dare to show it off? I have, but not for a very long time. I programmed a game called Bips on Blitz Basic, and that was just a static screen biplane game. One-on-one biplanes. You could hide behind the clouds and shoot each other and all that. If anyone ever comes across Bips, programmed in Blitz Basic, please let me have it, even if it's just the executable. That was Blitz Basic on the PC, and that's where I learned object-oriented programming, because I had particles in there where you shot particles of smoke came out the back of the plane, and they were all objects. So that actually helped me to get my head around how that worked. Just going to turn the music down a bit in my ears because it's very loud and happy. And I did go on to actually use that in a job at one point, where I programmed a jukebox, a 16-zone jukebox in Visual Basic, which does support object-oriented programming. And each of those zones was an object, had a playlist attached to it, so it was really easy to create and kill zones. It was just a new object. And each of those zones was attached to a direct sound device. So you could just put Windows sound cards in to build your jukebox. This was before, cheap MP3 players, so it was our way of doing it. And then the other thing I programmed was in C, and it used a programming library called Allegro. And it was an 8-way scroller, multiple layers and different speeds, so you could do parallax scrolling. And then I also programmed a tile-based level designer for it. And I really enjoyed it. I spent about a week doing that. I got obsessed with it. And I got as far as, I called this engine Harrier after Harrier Attack on the Amstrad. And then I got as far as making a level with the mountains and the clouds and the Harrier flying, and that would go behind the clouds and all of that. And then my dad came up to my room, because I was living at home at that point, and he said, "Son, I'm going to take you down the job centre. You need to get a job. Stop making games."
What if he hadn't done that?
If he hadn't done that, I would have liked to have spent some more time just obsessing over that. The thing is, this was in the late 90s. So I was doing this on what would that have been, a Pentium 2, something like that. Mm-hmm. So, a 2D parallax scrolling shooter was pretty outdated at that point. Nobody really wanted to play that kind of game, but it was just a nice challenge.
Had to be 3D.
Yeah, and I didn't have to, optimize it or anything to get it to run smoothly. It just had the power to do it. So it was a nice thing to make. So if anyone comes across a really badly written tile scroller called Harrier, or a game called Bips on Blitz Basic, please let me have it. And then final question from Bastet Fury says, even if this is a minefield topic in the UK, can we have a big fat trans rights from the cave? Yes, you can. Trans rights. All cave dwellers are equal, whoever you are. Simple as that. Next question comes from Dr. Local. What are the top 3 things that you wish you'd known before starting your RMC YouTube channel? I think Dr. Local is in the chat.
Possibly.
Was earlier. I did jot some notes down to think about this earlier. So top 3 things I would say. I wish I had better, or this is when I started, better audio and editing skills. So if you look at my older videos, especially color matching, you'll see my early videos are quite yellow. My audio was just a case of, hello Dr. Local, my audio was just a case of sticking a, is it a snowball orb, the blue snowball, whatever it's called, microphone on my desk. Sitting way back from it, I've got a microphone, that'll do its job. So the audio is quite echoey, everything's yellow. So just wish I'd known better, but a Blue Yeti, thank you. So yeah, there's a Gizmo trying to come in, bear with me.
Hello, Gizmo.
Come on, Gizmo. He moved this. Coming in. Come on.
Gizmo was the real star behind the RMC.
You gonna come and say hello? She's having a sniff about. I'll let her settle. So yeah, that the other thing, people want to support you. This is something that's took me a long time to learn. People want to support me, or you, not because you're working to a tight schedule, not because you're working to a perfect release schedule, just because they like what you do. So good evening, Taz. So I'm actually moving away just slightly from a weekly release schedule, because at the moment I've been trying to get a video out every Thursday. In fact, somebody asked me in the chat earlier if they'd missed a Thursday release. And that's fine, because that's what I've got everyone used to. But it does put a lot of pressure on me when I want to do a slightly meatier, more in-depth video to actually get it finished on a Thursday, and sometimes rush it to get it finished when I'd rather spend a few more days and not, having to hit that deadline. And that's okay. That's okay. So long as people see the videos come and see that I'm, putting my blood, sweat and tears into it, that they're happy. It doesn't have to come out on a Thursday. You don't have to work to a perfect schedule. Another reason I didn't release a video this week publicly, even though it was ready, is because the Commodore 900 video that went out last week, my goodness, that took off. That's flown up to 70,000 views. And I just know as soon as I put another video out, it will kill the momentum, such is the way YouTube is. So the patrons got early access to the next video, which they're watching. And I'm just going to release it to the public maybe on Sunday, maybe on Monday, just to eke a few more views out of the Commodore video. So yeah, I'm just gonna move away slightly from that, but you'll still get lots of videos, don't worry. And I think overall people just appreciate and respond to hard work. It doesn't have to be a tight schedule, but you still got to put the effort in. And then the final thing is going to be very obvious to a lot of people, but my brain didn't figure it out for a while, which is overworking kills creativity. Again, ties into point 2 really. Seems obvious, but I've been in a lot of jobs where I work very, very hard, but they weren't creative jobs. So I never actually felt that creative burnout until this. And you reach that point where your brain just stops working creatively. It doesn't stop working. You can still function and, be perfectly happy. You just can't come up with creative ideas. It's a really odd feeling. So part of adjusting my schedule as well is just to give myself the breathing space to relax, take a week off here and there through the year, and then just look after your creativity. So switch off from work sometimes and enjoy the things that make your brain happy. That's the thing. But it took me a while to learn that, coming from a very strict diet of IT tickets and support, and a very strict schedule that I came from before I came into YouTube. Stephen Usher says, Neil, you'll need an MFX for the Emotech. Creative burnout is very real, says Gary. Oh, hello, Gary. Well, you would know, Gary. You are an extremely creative man. Retrobus says, I had that recently. Yeah, okay. So you can all empathise. Oh, damn. The video's gone into the back room again where all the mess is. And Hasbeard Plays Game says, burnout is pretty common in IT, especially when people don't realise they've hit that point. Yeah, I did hit that point when I worked back in IT, but it was very different. It was different because I wasn't trying to find that creative streak. I was just trying to keep going. It was more to do with tolerating people in IT. Hello, Jippy, my old friend Jippy. Go on, Dave.
I said tolerating people is a polite way to put it.
Okay, next question was from Nick Farley. You have so many retro game systems in the cave. Do you have any at home anymore? Do you keep anything personal there? So at home, I have a this PC that I'm talking to you on now. It's got a GeForce RTX 3090. It's got a hang on, let's bring up my system. It's got a Ryzen 7 3700X. It's got 32 gig of RAM. It's not top of the range, but it is an absolute beast at processing 4K videos in Premiere, and that means it can also play games very well. So it's a games machine if I want it. It emulates pretty much anything. Got a multi-system in the lounge. Other than that, no. I mean, why would I? Because I've got such an amazing space at the cave. Not this space on the screen right now. Come on. Fast forward video. Let's fast forward it. This space. When I can come here and sit down and play games. Yeah, Mr. Multi-System, Orin, I've got that at home. But then, you know, I come into the cave and play games. Or I can come in on a Saturday and I can play games with other people. Or I can go into the arcade.
Comedy Activist has gone far too far with that very personal question.
What's he said? What games do you play with Lily? We play Empty the Cat Litter Tray. We play Load the Dishwasher. We play Change the Bed In. Lots of great games.
Wash the mobile phone.
Yeah. Scrub the toilet. Protect says, is it limiting having that space away from home? Well, we are talking about the earlier in the video. We talked about the editing suite that we were going to put in the room next door, the media suite we called it. So that will make it a bit less limiting to pop in and out and get more footage and stuff. But no, it helps me to switch off by having it at home. As you can tell by me being here at home now, streaming, totally switched off. Streaming's different. Jippy says, do you apply any makeup to that beautiful head of yours to stop the light reflection? No, I don't. No tips for you there. What's the next? Johannes has the next question. He says, I actually have a question about the local area. If I ever get the chance to visit the cave, as I don't drive, is there any way to get there apart from a cab? I would urge you to go to discord.gg/RMC Retro, where lots of people chat about that kind of thing. And I'm going to put something in the chat now. There's a link there, which was put together by our volunteer Michelle, which is everything about bus timetables, trains, everything that you might need to know. So that's where you want to go. Dave's posted the link to Discord. Thank you, Dave. Gary says, boring question, but how do you insure all your computers? Standard insurance assessor would probably value them quite low. Gary, this is something I'm working on at the moment. I don't have a full inventory yet of everything that I've got. I've got public liability insurance in place. I've got my shop stock insured. I've got basic contents insurance, but I need a full inventory to get everything fully insured. So part of building the new lab area, pulling everything out of stores, is going to involve an inventory, but it's just one of those things that keeps getting pushed back and back. And well, we know the dangers having followed Mark Fix's stuff in recent years. And
you're not going to set fire to the mill, are you?
Well, I don't have what was it that caused Mark's?
Smart meters.
Smart meter. I don't have a smart meter, so I think we're kids.
It wasn't a smart meter. We shouldn't make jokes like this, and it wasn't arson. As far as we know.
Jessica says, as someone who's taken the first small steps to trying to open a museum in Vienna, what were the biggest challenges you found turning the cave into a public exhibition space? Well, one of the biggest expenses was the cost of furniture. Do not underestimate how much furniture costs to fill a space that big. Thankfully, we had the drive with the colouring book, which raised an awful lot of money, which helped us put the aircon in, the glass cabinets, and all of that. So,
and you made a lot of the furniture yourself, even still.
Yeah, but that still cost money to get all the scaffold and everything.
I don't mean it was free, but even making it yourself, it was still expensive.
Yeah. So cost of furniture, a ticketing system. We learned that you can take a sledgehammer to off-the-shelf systems and kind of fudge them to work, but as soon as you want to start customizing things, it either gets very expensive or it's just impossible. So a ticketing system.
Do you think you might let other people use the ticketing system? Well,
that has been a suggestion from the very start, but we're going to have a long period of using it ourselves to test it, to iron out any bugs and things like that. And then Proton Beam says open sourced it. it's cost us a lot of money to make it. So, you know, if it ever comes to that, we will first want to have made back what it's cost us to make the damn thing. So there are discussions to be had, possibly about sharing that. But at the moment, you know, we're still making sure it's got all the features we want.
You hired the very best man to do it.
We did hire the very
it wasn't
best,
cheap.
Gary Pinkett. So if anything goes wrong, Gary Pinkett. And marketing is my final thing. So many people still come to the cave and say, we had no idea you were here, even though they're in the local town or whatever. So it seems obvious, but you can never market enough, and you have to market constantly. So that's something Simon's helping us with. Market. Jorgen says, I would like a video or a series of videos with step-by-step guide on how to build, configure and install Amiga Workbench in the Mister multi-system. I've searched YouTube and I can't find beginner-friendly content on the Mister. What say you? I'd like that video too. I didn't have a hard drive back in the day on the Amiga, so I have been learning a lot on that side of things in more recent years than I did back in the day. And no doubt I've got plenty of gaps in my knowledge. So I think that's the perfect example of a video where we find someone who is an expert on that kind of thing, get them in, make a video with them. Pillock? Yeah. Lots of people out there who, you know, have no doubt got the skills. Ravi, 10-minute Amiga retro, you know, podcast. All of these people. It's just it's just a topic that could be very, very wide open, and you want to just say, okay, today we are going to set up an Amiga on the multi-system. It's going to be, you know, Workbench whatever version, and we're going to set up WHD load on it. And if you've got a Mister multi-system, you can all do exactly the same. It's not going to get confusing because you've got a slightly different Kickstart ROM or anything like that. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Retro or Bust, who I've seen in the chat, says, how about some behind the scenes footage? I mean, is this enough for you? Also asks, how long does a typical video take to produce? What editing software do you use? Cameras, mics. So you've seen the cameras, mics. I use Premiere. Let me pop this up. There you go. This is Premiere. I don't know how much of this you can see. So this is the Play Choice 10 video, and you can see you got the timeline here. All the different clips. So the blue boxes are clips. In the middle, you've got your little transitions between clips to make them fade in and out. You can layer clips up. So over here, the red ones are JPEGs. So that's my leaflets. This one here, captions. A lot of what I do is not best practice. So for example, I've got my voiceover here, which I've kind of merged into one audio clip, and I've applied de-essing, de-mouth clicking, de-noise, de-reverb, compressors, mastering, a notch filter to remove the CRT whine in the background, all of these effects. Normally, if you know what you're doing, you would apply the effects to the whole channel and then not the individual clips. I've just got bad habits that I'm struggling to get rid of. But yeah, that's what an episode looks like. And that is in Premiere Pro 2023, so that's using the latest one. I'm going to come back to the chat and I'm going to find Mark moaning, aren't I, about how terrible Premiere is.
He did earlier on. He mentioned it once.
He's not there. Okay. Retrobust can't work out After Effects. I don't touch After Effects, to be honest. I know it's there. I know it's very useful if I would do a night school for 6 months and learn it inside out. But I find that there are restrictions within Premiere which just make me think a bit more out of the box to get the final effects that I need. And you can usually figure it out unless you want to do something absolutely mad. But that's not what my videos are about, really. Tero says, how about a Z80 showdown between the ZX Spectrum +23, the Amstrad CPC 6128, and the Memotech MTX? Well, today's donation, which you saw, might be helpful with that. What do you reckon, Dave? A Z80 showdown?
I think you would need to add something unique to it. How could you do that? Because we've seen that kind of thing before. And it really depends on which games you pick. Do you look at the PCBs and explain what the architectural differences are? I don't know.
Are there any games on the Memotech to actually compare?
Yeah, there's a great podcast that I know that you sometimes listen to, Neil, called Retro Asylum, and they do these wonderful 8-bit or 16-bit competition type podcasts where they pick games that exist on all the platforms they do and argue about which one's best. It's a great podcast, but it's a bit unfair because if you pick an Amstrad CPC game, then it's late in the era of the C64, etc., and it's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult to do it.
Chris says, why not show Discord to introduce it to people who aren't already on it? I would, but I haven't really prepared my Discord screen, so you'll see all my hidden admin rooms and everything else. So I'll leave that for now. Discord is just discord.gg in your web browser /RMC Retro will take you into our chat room where you can chat to all of us all day long. Dave's put the link there. Control Alt Reese says, I think you mentioned that the original plan... Oh, hang on, Control Alt Reese, I've got a gift for him.
Waiting for a delivery to arrive?
Waiting for a delivery. I think you mentioned that the original plan behind the wooden R-door was the secret arcade, but it ended up being used for storage. Now, of course, you have a real arcade. And you mentioned... Oh, we've talked about all this. We've talked about all this, Reese, in the video earlier, so you've seen what's going on behind those doors. Hassan says, I'm very interested in how Trash to Treasure episodes are put together, from the initial scripting and storyboarding phase to the actual shooting and then the editing phase. Everyone is different. I would say, in general, usually find an item that I think I can see through to completion, because nobody likes an unfinished series. Do a period of intense research to try and put everything into kind of a timeline, all of the events that can tell the story. Capturing magazines, capturing adverts. There have been some, like I think it was the Amiga 1000, where Dave, who's on the voice chat here, helped me to do some of that research. Generally, I do everything, but it was really good on that series to have some extra help to dive deeper and find more things in the archives with Dave. I then turn that research into kind of flesh it out into a historical story. And then the research stops, and then it's a very different process next, where I just clean and fix and point the camera at what I'm cleaning and fixing, edit that up, and then I'll script the voiceover for the cleaning and the fixing part, and then stitch it all together. So we're kind of cutting between the history and the cleaning. And usually we'll find a natural break point for an episode where I either need to order more parts, or I need to find another monitor because one's arrived smashed up, or something like that. But every Trash to Treasure is slightly different, but that's generally how I approach it.
Something you've said to me in the past that you haven't really said this time is you're trying to find the story. You always try and tell the story of an item, and that's important to what you do, if people haven't noticed that already.
And there have been times when we visited very similar systems. For example, the CCTV is very similar to an Amiga 500, but it's got a different story to tell. So if you've seen one, the other's perhaps not as interesting on the inside, but a very interesting story. Ian says, what do you think the future holds for the channel? More Trash to Treasure, interviews, or more of the focus on the arcade visiting side of RMC? I'm also curious as to what works best and gets the most views. Is it the in-depth repair videos or the interviews? I've talked quite a lot lately about the visiting side, just because it's been taking up a lot of my time. And with the addition of Simon to help, it's now going to be taking up less of my time. For example, Simon ran the public days today. I didn't go into the cave at all. That gave me time to prepare the live stream In future, it will give me time to relax and take weekends off. Simon does rule, Gary. Simon does rule. So I can get my focus a lot more on the filming. You will see lots of episodes like the development of the lab and the development of the dev den, but those become sets, so they feed into our videos as well. So very much on the repairs, the interviews, things like that. What's popular? The Commodore 900 was my biggest recent video. So historical deep dives are still very popular. Documentary style videos are very popular. Restorations are always a hit, but as we've spoken about, I tried to do them in the documentary style. What else is a hit? Long videos like the interviews, less popular, but I don't know if you guys have noticed, there seems to be a bit of a movement towards long format videos on YouTube lately. Not everyone, but quite a few people are trying out the long format videos. And I especially like doing the interviews. I've always said I like doing the interviews because what could be more important than capturing the actual stories from people that were there. So, in summary, I'd say effort. I've said it before, effort is generally rewarded on the channel, but I'm in a position where I have the luxury of an audience now. So if I put a video out that I've put a lot of effort into, it gets that initial burst that tickles the YouTube algorithm, which gets more attention, which makes it more popular. So saying effort equals reward is not true at all if you're a smaller channel with a smaller audience, because you don't get that algorithm stimulation, and you can put a huge amount of effort into a video and it's perhaps not seen by many people. So it's not a hard and fast rule. If a video starts strong, it gets momentum. So this is why the second I release a video, I put a tweet out, a Facebook post out, an Instagram post out, as many places as I can at the precise second or minute that the video goes live, because all of that is trying to feed into that. It's like kickstarting a motorbike, all of that. The motorbike is YouTube, and if you can kickstart it hard enough through all of those places, YouTube will go, I'm going to recommend this to people.
Brum, brum, brum.
Brum, brum, brum. But then people are only going to stick around, and this is a much more important metric, is your retention on a video. People are only going to stick around if you've made a decent video. Retention is much more important than views for me. You can always set the playback speed in YouTube. Yes, I know you do that to me, John.
Oh, ghastly.
There's a question in the chat there. JJ Barlon. What have you been playing lately, and how many times are you able to dedicate on it aside from the K videos content? Oh, what have I been playing? Right, I'll carry on talking. I'll pop Steam up. And tell you, I'll come on to the next question from 37 Retro Dave. Are there any plans, possibilities to expand to other floors? Okay, yeah, we covered that in the video earlier. Have you replaced the Sega Saturn Brawler pads yet? No. I don't mind the Brawler pads, but yeah, I should probably get some authentic Sega Saturn pads. I have been playing It Returned to the Desert, which is a modern remake of It Came from the Desert.
Oh, I didn't know you'd been playing it. We talked about that on Twitter. Is it good?
Oh, it's nicely done. Yeah.
How's the turn-based combat? Does that work?
Yeah, as you would expect it to. It's definitely got a Cinemaware feel to it. It's quite nicely done. High on Life. Have you guys seen High on Life? I played all the way through that at Christmas. It says I played it for 10.4 hours to play through that. Very not safe for work, but a lot of fun. And I've been playing a bit of IL-2 Sturmovik, which is a World War flight simulator. Not many more questions. Okay, so next one, Controller Reese. Another vague suggestion rather than a specific question. On one of the Patreon days, you did a really interesting talk on the history of the channel. Would be cool to hear a little bit about that. Yeah, I did a talk about before I was doing YouTube, what I used to do, behind the scenes, a bit of personal life, some stats from YouTube dashboard. So I need to update it, but yeah, I could do something like that for the channel. Yeah, or even just for the patrons. Just a bit behind the scenes for the patrons. Yeah. Just gonna have a slug of water. Hold on.
As Dave visited the channel, says A Busy Bee. I have. I visited the channel twice. Visited the cave twice. Once when it was before opening up, and then the second time for one of the special colouring days that were done as a way of funding the refurb of it. I hope to visit again sometime soon because I really want to see Alex's arcade, which I haven't seen a hair of it at all.
I've just realised, Dave, when I mute myself on Twitch, it doesn't mute me on it doesn't mute me on Discord. So you're hearing me glugging water and coughing and spluttering.
I didn't realise that that I was the only person hearing those.
Just for you.
I just thought Neil is such an amateur. He's coughing in people's ears.
The Great Crooks says, given all the donations and equipment you have and you buy on eBay, what will you do when you run out of room in the cave? Would you maybe restore items on channel, sell them, or auction them off? So, good question. And he also suggests perhaps auctioning them off to donate to charity.
You've done that.
I've done that in the past, yeah, with the IBM PCs. I think this is going to become more of a realistic possibility with the new repair service. So, I might have things that need repairing, but we've already covered on the channel. So I could say, I will obviously pay them a going rate because they're their own business. Can you fix these things up and then we can sell them on? Or maybe they can sell them on with a short warranty or however they want to run the service. So yeah,
you've kind of almost done it before because some of the trash to treasures have not been your own thing. You've fixed someone else's because it was such an interesting machine to do.
True. Yeah. Matt Smith, is that the Matthew Smith? Would be good to hear about what machines Alex wants to get for the arcade archive and what his plans are now he's recovered from all the work he did to open it up. I'm not the best person to tell you about that, but Alex is coming up, believe it or not, on his 10-year YouTube anniversary. 10 years. So he's going to make a video reflecting on the channel and everything that's going on and all his plans. So Arcade Archive. Let us get that link up there.
I'll get it for you.
You get the link. He released a video today. He picked up 50 arcade PCBs. 50. It's well worth watching that video. Okay, let's rattle through some more questions. Sorry, Dave.
For people who don't know, Alex does have his own YouTube channel. I'm not sure if everybody was aware of it, and it's not only through Neil that you'll get to see Alex. I've put the link in chat. Great channels, always interesting videos.
There he is, Arcade Archive. And that's his latest video, the biggest arcade haul I've ever purchased. So yeah, go and give him a sub on YouTube. I'd love to get him up to his 10,000 subs. That'd be great. Gizmo's scratching my leg. Bear with. Hello. Did you go out?
And yes, Richard is great at fixing arcade PCBs. There's a few videos started to appear on Alex's channel. So if you watch that, you will see Richard involved in, I think, every arcade repair you might see there.
Yeah, and there's an incredible arcade PCB video that they're going to put together soon because they've picked up an arcade PCB on which the game is stored in bubbles. It's a bubble-based memory system. Fascinating. Fascinating to hear how it works, and then it'll be even more fascinating to see if they can get it working or if it works.
It's not called Bubble Bobble.
It's not called Bubble Bobble, no. So Matt Beef asks, what is next for cave visits? Now you're not running everything full-time at the cave. Do you plan on doing any themes, selections based around the kit you have? So I've done a kids half term event, which was really successful. We're going to do that again on the history of gaming. We've got guest speakers, so we've had Hoffman recently. We've got David Rowe coming up. If you don't know who David Rowe is, let me bring him up on the screen. Let's see. So book now. He is in April. When is he? When are you, David? The 15th of April. So here he is. So he's an artist. He's worked on video game books, magazines, and games. Here we go, such as Populous, Thalamus, John Madden, Shadow of the Beast 3. There's some of his art there. So this is going to be a talk about his art and his life, and also a kind of an art exhibition as well. We'll get lots of his pictures up for you to look at, and you can. It'll be a full day event. Lunch is included. So that's one of the. And we're going to get lots more guests like that. That's the sort of thing we want to do on the public days. No, Kosami does other art too, and I know you're on the wind up there. And Gary, who is in the chat there, Gary Arnott, I'm determined to get him down to show his art off at some point. One day. Matt also asks if there have been any further developments on the rest of the mail. Well, we've seen that in the video. And is there a list of cabinets that Alex has in the arcade? So, to begin with, he had to change his cabinets out around and about quite a lot because they were just settling in. Some of them were popping. Some of them were more reliable than others. And now they've settled down. I could probably ask him to do that, yeah. Chris, will you do anything on Tetris considering the new series movie? Probably be something we might pick up in This Week in Retro, unless you did it today, Dave. Did you cover the Tetris movie?
Do you want spoilers? No, we didn't cover it. Maybe next week. I haven't picked my story for next week yet.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we'll chat about it. We have, in Alex's haul of 50 PCBs, was an Atari Tetris board, which is quite cool.
I'll need to see if it fits in.
Need to see if anyone submits the story.
Yeah.
Mark Fixes Stuff says, why is my door locked and please may I use the toilet? Mark will be at the next patron day, so you can stay in your cupboard until then, Mark.
Where is his bucket?
Super Tech Boy. Is there a holy grail of hardware or software that you want to get your hands on, whether for the cave or for your own personal collection? So, this is something I get asked a lot, and it changes all the time. The Amiga 3000 is always on that list. Until I find a 3000, it will always be there. Something more recently is called the CD32 Cubo. CD32 Cubo, which is a Commodore CD32 with a jammer harness, so you can just drop it into an arcade cabinet. Made by an Italian company, it was a proper product. It wasn't just a hack job. And then you could turn your arcade cabinet into the Amiga equivalent of a PlayChoice 10. And there were two games. There might have been more, but I think there were two specifically made for it. One was called Candy Puzzle, and the other was called Laser Quiz. So I guess that probably played a bit like a pub quiz machine. But I don't see why you couldn't have put Zool in there. Or Diggers.
Amiga got one game ported to the arcade that I know about. Xenon got an arcade port.
Did it?
Yeah. Which was weird because it was an ST game ported to the Amiga and then Amiga ported to the arcade.
Probably just wanted the better music in the arcade.
No, that was the Amiga version that they ported.
Dave, do we want to have this conversation?
It's entirely subjective which music you prefer. I'm used to the Atari ST music from the Xenon, which sounds great. It's a chip tune.
Orin says Mad Dog McCree used an Amiga 500. Yes, it did. Amiga 500 controlling Laserdisc players. And then Dr. Local has 3 questions to take us to the end of our questions today. First one is, what is the 3 to 5 year roadmap for the channel? for the cave, for the Arcade Archive? Are there any missions, goals to meet as the Retro Collective expands and things formalize more? Well, to think I would have a roadmap. I'm certainly not that organized. I think the general plan is just focus on the videos, Trash to Treasures, restorations, lots of online content. Now the museum is kind of running itself. As for the other guys in the collective, really, it's for me to stand back and just help to promote them where they need my help, help them to be a success where I can. But they're all just getting their heads down and getting on with what they want to get on with. Alex is selling out every Saturday afternoon. Richard is clearly motivated by this repair service because he is ripping that area of the cave apart and building it really quickly. He is getting that done, so he doesn't need my help there. But when the time comes to shout about it, and I could make some great videos, Trash to Treasures, where as part of the Trash to Treasure, I say let's go down to the microservice, whatever we're going to call it, and get some professional insight into it, and they can really help me with those, and there's cross promotion going on there, so there's lots of opportunities there, but they're going to get their heads down and I've got my head down and I'm just going to focus on videos, and the more I grow the YouTube channel, the more that takes the pressure off the physical location to sell tickets. It's great when people come. The patron days are amazing. Love having you guys over for that. But it's even better that if the YouTube channel's growing and that's bringing in an income, and I'm not going, oh no, I haven't sold enough tickets this month to pay the rent. This is a real problem. It just completely eliminates all of that and makes it much better, much nicer thing to work in. So videos and YouTube channel and patron days where people don't fall over and break their ankles, please.
Goodbye. He's not even able to watch us anymore because the hospital Wi-Fi isn't good enough.
Oh, he's
He'll
got
have to watch
pay
it
for
VOD.
more Wi-Fi. And then Dr. Local also asks, behind the scenes in video production, I'd be keen to see and hear more. The process you go through. I think we've talked about that a little bit today, so I won't go into any more detail on that. I did mention earlier that I need to train Alex up on Premiere if he chooses to use Premiere. So maybe I'll make some short videos to help him refer back to do certain things, and I can share them with you guys as well. On the second channel, probably. That would be a main channel video. Which content developers do you admire the most? And which can you learn the most from to help new upcoming talent? I consider you a veteran now, Neil. Dave, am I a veteran? Can you mentor the
Certainly
newbies?
grizzled veteran, yes. You must be now. You must be a veteran. 6 years?
Here's a veteran. Mean Machine Dean in the chat. He's a veteran.
Hello, Dean.
Yeah, I admire all kinds of people on YouTube. Loads of people. Games Made of Cardboard, if you've ever watched him, just for the insane amount of effort that he puts into a video. Mark Fixes Stuff, as much for his content as for the way he picked himself up after the house fire that he had, and coming through the other side with his whole new studio setup and working hard to improve his channel. People like Stephen Leary at Terrible Fire, just for the amazing things he makes. Banjo Gaioli for his music. Never be in the same room as Stephen and Banjo Gaioli. They'll get you in a lot of trouble. Amiga Bill, just his fun live streams. The guys at the Amigos or ARG Presents. What's the best way to call them, Dave? Is it ARG Presents or Amigos?
Amigos.
Amigos.
ARG Presents is the Amigos.
It's one of their
review
podcasts,
group, retro
isn't it?
group. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's Amigos in both.
Amigos, just because of the sheer amount of content and quality, well-researched content that they put out, and they clearly
They work so hard.
They clearly enjoy trying out all the games and sharing them with people. Somebody's put LGR in the chat. Of course, LGR, and it was amazing to have LGR on This Week in Retro the other week. He was such a fun guest. So yeah, just genuine, nice, hardworking, caring and sharing people who've got no time for drama because they're just too busy doing what they love. Those are my people. Those are the kind of people to admire and look up to, I think. Yeah. That's the end of my patron questions, and we've been going a couple of hours, so we will wrap it up unless anyone's got any last quick questions in chat before we go.
I've got
Fire
some
away.
that I've been recording for you.
Oh, go ahead.
Prime Gaming Monkey says, Gaming Monkey 3Y SK says, what was the saddest retro item you've come across? Any device that you found which had been poorly mistreated or forgotten that was a real shame?
Oh, that's a good question. That Packard Bell monitor that's on the screen there now.
Yeah, that could be one. That's what I was thinking.
There's not a lot of love lost with some people with Packard Bells, but they mean a lot to me, or at least that certain era of Packard Bells. Yeah, anything that arrives that's rattling around on the inside.
Question for me there, do I have a YouTube channel? Always enjoy your input in the podcast. No, I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't have the time. I sometimes entertain the idea of doing a little informative video when I'm doing something I haven't found out how someone else has done before, but no, I don't have any plans to do it. But Happy Coding has got one for you, Neil. Are you ever going to make that visual pinball cabinet you are planning? And Gary says he would love to see a visual pinball built from scratch series.
That a mini visual pinball is something I've thrown around as an idea since 2010 when I made my first mini gauntlet. I was going to make a mini pinball to go alongside it. Yeah. Need someone like Lee. More fun making it to team up with me on that one for the woodwork, I think. Be fun, and it's probably a hell of a lot easier to do now with things like pies than it was in 2010. Yes, Technic, I've got another Packard Bell. Would we have Adrian from Adrian's Digital Basement on the podcast? Sure. I would just say, just remember, when it comes to This Week in Retro, we don't look to have guests on to tell us their life story or to find out more about their life story. We have them on to share their opinion about the week's stories, because a lot of these people do interviews on that basis about their background. We're more of a kind of hang out and learn about you through your opinions. Would you say, Dave?
Yeah, and there's been a few suggestions for This Week in Retro of people who would be fascinating to speak to, but I'm not certain the right thing to do if we did manage to get an hour of the time was ask them what they thought about a new port of Golden Axe.
Ends, thank you for the subscription. Dave, do you have any more questions that you've picked up from chat?
There's one from Comedy Activist. In the live stream, should we see Dave doing moderator stuff in the live stream chat? Not much I do, I'm afraid. I'm just here for a little bit of trolling.
I think you've clicked on a few things to put messages through things, but yeah. Anything else?
No more questions from the chat other than the ones that have appeared since you asked for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I think we caught those, didn't we?
Yeah. Sake to me asks, wouldn't mind seeing Dan Wood in the show. We actually had Dan Wood on reasonably recently, maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago if you look through the This Week in Retro archive. I am on Twitter. I can give you a link for Twitter. I'm not particularly interested on it, but yeah.
Have you forgiven Paul? I think you mean Peter Molyneux for standing you up twice. Yeah. Still stings a little bit, Chris. For those who don't know, Peter Molyneux was booked for a retro tea break. Didn't turn up for it. And then his assistant assured me he would turn up the following week. Didn't turn up for it. And I didn't want to go for a third strike. I just thought, no, okay, we'll knock it on the head, because it was throwing my my video releases all out, because I essentially prepared twice for the same interview and it didn't happen. So it was a shame. It would have been nice to chat to him, but there we go. Who would you like to get on for a retro tea break? Well, we had Ken Williams. I'd love to get Roberta on. It should be good. Yeah. Costado says Peter Molyneux is dead to us.
I will always appreciate the games he did on Atari ST and Amiga and on DOS.
Well,
After DOS, when it comes to Windows,
I think that just about wraps it up. I will put a Patreon post out in the coming weeks to tell you when the date of the next live stream is and to invite your videos and the topic around the videos and all of that. Thank you so much to everyone who's submitted your questions. Thank you for hanging out. 154 of you. We should probably do a raid. Dave, did you want to have a quick look on Twitch to see who we can send a big RMC hug to?
Okay.
It's always
Penjo.
fun. Who's that? Sorry.
I'll type it in chat because you'll never guess it otherwise.
Is it Hitch?
No.
Did you say? No.
It's someone who plays real arcades all the time. Lovely chap. He's from Sweden, but he has a bit of an Irish accent because that's where he learnt how to speak English in
Oh,
Ireland.
fantastic. Okay. I've not seen
So
him
his
before.
name's in chat there. No, nice guy.
So I'm going to type in raid and then that. And then I think this is going to do it. I think we load you all into the...
There we go.
Yeah, okay. And then I...
Say hello to him. Lovely guy. Nice and casual. Nice and relaxed.
Good. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. It only exists because of you guys. Discord.gg/RMC Retro if you want to come and chat. Subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/RMC Retro, patreon.com/RMC Retro if you want to become a patron. All that good stuff. If you're a patron and you're on one of the higher tiers, you will get your email in the coming hours if you haven't already got it with your discounts to come and visit and all of that. Otherwise, I'll see you in Discord to carry on chatting after this. And let's go and raid this name, which I'm not going to attempt to say. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.